A fabric extension meter is an instrument designed to determine the stretch and recovery properties of textile fabrics, both knitted and woven. The instrument consists of a clamping area with two self-aligned, flat-faced clamps that have an adjustable thickness of 4 mm. The dimensions of the specimen clamping area are set at 75 by 25 mm. The tests can be done at 3 gauge lengths, namely 50, 75 and 200 mm. The load is applied by an electric linear actuator which is actioned by 2 calibrated springs. Prior to preparing the test specimens, the untouched full-width fabric must carry out 1 normal wash at 30 degrees, followed by 1 tumble-dry cycle. The next step is to prepare the specimens needed. Cut 5 specimens at 100 mm wide and 280 mm long. Make sure to cut the length direction parallel to the length as shown and avoid specimens within 10 cm of the selvage. This is what the specimens should look like. Now that the specimens have been prepared, the specimens should be conditioned for a minimum of 4 hours in a conditioned atmosphere at room temperature. Testing should also be carried out in this atmosphere. Once the sample specimen has been preconditioned and prepared, the standard test procedure for the fabric extension meter can be followed. The gauge length is set at 75 mm, and the applied load is set at 30 newtons. The fabric sample is then positioned beneath the jaws of both clamps and is secured in place by closing the clamps. Before starting the test, the benchmark points need to be marked directly on the fabric sample. The distance between these points are measured and recorded as the initial length. The test button is then pressed to start the load application of 30 newtons, and the fabric sample is stretched. Once the applied load reaches the maximum force of 30 newtons, the actuator stops, and the load is held at a constant rate of 100 mm per minute. This elongation is then measured and recorded as the stretched length, and timed for 1 minute. After 1 minute, the 0 button is pressed and the applied load stops. Once the extension meter has returned to its initial position, clamps are released, and the fabric sample is removed and placed on a flat smooth surface to allow the sample to recover. After 1 minute of recovery, the length between the benchmarks are remeasured and recorded. This procedure is repeated 5 times in both the warp and weft directions, using 5 different samples. Once all the tests have been completed, the results are used to calculate the average fabric stretch, as well as the average fabric growth, after 1 minute and 30 minutes, respectively. These results are then used to establish whether the test sample's elongation ability as a measure of comfort meets the required quality standards. Thus, the fabric extension meter is considered useful in the textile and apparel manufacturing industry, and is used as a means of establishing the quality assurance of comfort stretch fabrics. We hope that you found this video to be informative. Thank you.